Hi, Kylie here and welcome to my plan with me for June 2024. So this month we're doing books, and this is just a little quick look through some of the ideas I was playing with in my planning journal before sketching everything out and getting ready to go. Books is a theme that I've actually used before, and I've drawn quite a few books in a range of different ways, including drawing a lot of little scenes and things that represent comfort that are like armchairs, books, cups of tea, shelves of books, and all of that sort of stuff. So that's sort of what you're getting a bit in this month and in the design for this month. I decided I wanted to make my title page a bit more detailed than it has been of late. So we're getting a lot more on the page. Having said that, I haven't drawn that much detail in the books themselves on this page, mainly because they're quite small in relation to the rest of the drawing, and the other reason is because there are a lot of them, and I think I would drive myself insane trying to put different things on all of the spines to make them look like books. So I'm just using colour to make them look attractive, I guess. So yeah, basically the page is laid out with a large bookshelf on the left-hand side. It's about, it has 6 shelves of books. There is a pot plant on one of them. Most of the books are vertical, but I do have a couple that are laid down on this side. Next to that bookshelf is a smaller bookshelf with only 2 shelves. It has a stack of books on top of it and a little pot plant that is succulent on top of it as well. Beside that is another pot with a cactus in it, then an armchair with a little floral cushion on it, and a very simple coffee table. Someone is walking into the room and they're about to put down a stack of books onto the coffee table. So it is a woman with wavy hair. In front of the armchair is a little rug with a floppy-haired dog on it. And there is a ceiling light in the room as well. Underneath this scene, I've written never enough books. And of course, I also have June written because we're in June. So it's now June. We're a couple of days in, which indicates that, I have had a bit of a busy May, but there have been a few other bits and pieces going on as well. So this was a little bit delayed, but that's life. It's been done for a couple of days. It's just taken me a little bit to get the voiceover done. I'm colouring in or painting the image with my favourite watercolour palette, which is Decadent Pies. And it's a watercolour palette that I've had for quite a while now, for a couple of years. I really like using it. I like the tonality of the colour that's in it. And it has a nice range of colour as well. Plus it's got gold and silver, so that always makes it nice to paint with as well. What I didn't mention is I also have 2 portraits on the wall of my little vignette, my little setting, and they are in sort of ornate silver frames. So that's going back to the sort of portrait stuff and paintings and things that I did for February. I want to say February, let's just say February. So I've had a lot of client work on for May and a few other bits and pieces, and some things have fortunately delayed because otherwise the next couple of weeks were just going to be way too insane for me, which is nice to sort of get a little bit of delay in for that. But the other thing that I'm doing alongside all of my other personal projects and getting stuff ready for markets and all of that sort of stuff is I'm doing a micro-credential in inclusive digital design. I completely forgot what it's called. That's why you might notice that I'm doing a little bit more descriptive audio narration of what I'm actually doing while I'm drawing things up. And it's something I really should have thought about a little while ago to do, but I guess there's a part of my brain that went, well, this is visual. People are only watching it because they're watching what I'm doing. Most people probably aren't even listening to the audio or looking at the closed captions or anything else, so I haven't been overly concerned about it. But as I was going through thinking about it, I'm like, well, I don't know what people do. I watch all sort of random things, and I shouldn't make any presumptions about whether people who might have any sort of impairment in their vision might want to watch my video or listen to my video. So I decided I'm going to include a little bit more of narrative sort of description about what I'm doing and what my journal looks like. So we'll see how this goes and how it sort of all comes out, but I'd love your feedback about it as well. So on the next page, we have my month layout with areas for focus and making for me to sort of note what the focus of the month is in relation to client work, but then also around the making that I'm doing. And look, quite frankly, I've been failing miserably in some of these bits and pieces, so it's always nice to put it there, but I don't know how much attention I really pay to it. And then I have my quote from the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. And, well, the word for this month is nighthawk, a recurring thought that only seems to strike you late at night, an overdue task, a nagging guilt, a looming future, which you sometimes manage to forget for weeks, only to feel it land on your shoulder once again, quietly building a nest. So I quite like that as a word. Noting that my nighthawk normally doesn't settle very much. It comes, flitters around, and then zooms away, and I'm left wondering, what was I thinking about? I know there's something I have to do, and now it's disappeared. So I'd really like my nighthawks to build a few more nests, please. That'd make life a little bit easier. So in the first week of the month, my first weekly layout, I only have one drawing because I've had to add an additional box for the weekend because it was the first and second, so I just crammed it into the week. So it's just a little drawing of a bookshelf with, on the left, is a little glass vase with some dried flowers. In the middle is a stack of 3 books on different sort of angles so that you can see like the spine, and then you can see the end, and then you can just see the pages sort of thing. And then next to that, on the right-hand side, is a little yellow pot with a succulent in it. So again, continuing to bring through the sub-theme from the previous month into this month. So we're on the second week of the month, and on this page I do have 2 drawings. The first is something that, now I've forgotten who it is on Instagram. I will chuck it in and make a note for myself and chuck it onto the screen for you. Who I follow on Instagram, who I really like as an artist. And I really like the way they do their line work and everything, which is so annoying that I can't remember who they are. But yeah, so I sort of took the idea of these falling books. So they're opened up a bit and the pages are fanned out. And I like that as a sort of, as a little motif, as it looks like it's got movement in it. And a lot of the drawing that I do, particularly of books, doesn't really have movement in it. So it's nice to have a little bit of movement. And they've got slightly ornate covers. They're not overly ornate. And painted in a dark blue and a green. On the right-hand page is another stack of 3 books, but this one is a little bit more 3-dimensional, so they're on an angle, so you can sort of see 2 sides of each of them as they go up, and they're painted in tan, yellow, and it's a red, but it's not a very red. It's a little bit more orangey red. So yeah, June is going to be a little bit busy, and of course we are now in winter, and look, I've talked about this before. I like the cold. I'm a fan of the cold. That's one of the reasons we moved to Tasmania, was because it is a much colder climate. I know that there's a privilege that comes with being able to enjoy the cold because I live in a very well-built house. that supports staying nice and warm. I have, nice cars with heated seats, and so I do understand that sort of stuff, but at the same time, I still prefer cold to hot. It's just a thing. All right, so on to the week beginning 17th of June. 2 drawings again in this layout. The first one is an open journal with some flowers and different, just small little boxes of like content. Above it are 2 markers, like the brushable markers that I have. And then there's a fountain pen, which is like my Kawiko fountain pen. On the right-hand side is a woman reading in an armchair, but she's lounging back with her legs up on one arm of the chair and a cushion behind her and leaning on the other arm of the chair. She's got glasses, she's holding a coffee cup, and there is a standard lamp beside her that has a floral cover. So I hope that your year has been going well. I hope that May was good for you and that you've enjoyed the change of season that we've now come into. It's been nice to sort of have a shift in temperature, but I could do without quite as much sort of rain. It'd be nice to get a few days of actual sunshine. It's either been rainy or overcast for a couple of weeks now, and I am missing the sun. It's one of the good things about winter down here in Tasmania is that we generally don't get too much drizzly overcast days. Like, we generally don't get too many in a row, which is why this has been a little bit surprising, because it has been a couple of weeks without not a lot of sun. So yeah, it's starting to get a little bit grey and miserable. So it'd be nice to get a little bit more sun. If the world could give me that, that would be pleasant. But hey, there are worse things that could be going on, quite frankly, given the state of everything else in the world. I really cannot complain about it being a little bit grey. Week beginning 24th, so the last week of the month, and we've got basically looking at a book that's open on a table, sort of looking at it on its side. So half the pages are on one side, half the pages are on the other, and it's open. And out of that is launching out like a light bulb for ideas, a rainbow, a star, a heart, and a sword. So all the things that are in the book. And on the other side is another book that's open, but you're looking down on it, and some of the pages are fanned a little bit. And that's just got a cactus, so going back to the theme from the last month. Cactus and a tumbleweed, and just colouring in block colour in some of the other pages. So yeah. So this is my plan with me for June. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm interested to know what you think about the narrative explanation of things. I'm very much looking forward to getting back to getting on top of some of my projects. I'm just drawing up my reflection page, and on that I've also got my 6-month reflection, and I think it's going to be a little bit sad how much I've not progressed on my projects from the 3-month reflection. Anyway, here is my journal for the month. I hope that you have a nice June, and I hope to see you back here at the end of it for July. I'll see you then. Thank you. Bye.